Is suspense accounts question 2. Just double check I have it here. Yeah, so I'm just going to do the rough work and how I translate the rough work into what goes into the general journal. So motor car bought on credit from B. Brown. Now just quickly check at the top of the question, what business is this guy in? So he's a garage owner. So if I buy a motor car, then that is going to be purchases. So purchase one account. And the other account then is a creditor, somebody I owe money to. Now we're given his name, so I'm going to use that. So B. Brown. So from now on, if we're given somebody's name as a debtor or a creditor, try and make sure to start using it. So, okay, so motor car purchase and credit from B. Brown 12,600. So purchases, I have more expense, so 12,600 goes on the debit side, and B. Brown, I owe more money, because B. Brown is a liability, the plus of a liability is the credit side. So that's what we should have done. Then the actual. It was put on the wrong side of Brown's account and credit in the equipment account. So that's the completely wrong side, wrong account, so I have to take that out. It was put on the wrong side of his account as 1260. Instead of putting it in purchases, I put it in equipment. So I'm just going to put that here as a note. So the equipment account, and it was put in as a, what number? So 6210 in the equipment account. So that means we're presuming it was put on the correct side, 6210, okay, in the equipment account. So how do I go fix that? Now, first of all, we can see that we have 2 debits and we have no credits. Oh, sorry, I just see here. Yeah, okay, so we've got 2 debits, we've got no credits, so that means we will need a suspense when I go to do my general journal. We'll list the suspense later. So, my correction. First, I'm going to have to go to equipment. I'm going to 6210 in the equipment account, and B. Brown. So I'm going to have to do 1260, and I'm going to have to do, so that cancels the thing I did wrong, and then I'm going to have to do what I should have done in the first place, 12600. And then back here, I'm going to have to go to purchases. And I'm going to have to, so I've taken out the 6210 from the equipment, and purchases, then I'm going to do what I should have done in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to translate all of that and put all of that into my general journal. So I DR purchases. I'm going to have a CR in equipment, and I'm going to have a CR in creditor, B. Brown. So the purchases was 12600, equipment was 6210, just double check that now. This credit is 6210, so that means I need to debit 6210. Creditor B. Brown, so I had I had 2 entries in there, so I'm going to add the 2 of them together. So 12600 plus the cancellation of what we did already, so 13680. Now let's just double check that I have all of that in. So I have my credit in equipment, debit and purchases, and those 2 numbers there put together on the credit side of B. Brown. So I have that done right. So that means I'll need a suspense, and suspense is the difference between the 2 sides. So this is the smaller side, so that means I'll be putting it in the small side here. So those 2 numbers added together, and I'll take away that, and that gives us the difference figure. So and this is just a narration. You do get marks for this in the exam, so enter the wrong account on the wrong side. Okay, so that's the first one done. Move on to the second one. Check paid to a landlord for rent of a business premises for 15 months was not entered in the books. So first of all, I spent money, so there'll be bank. Then we'll have the rent expense. Okay. Now you don't need to necessarily call it the rent expense account. You can call it rent. That's perfectly fine. So I spent money, so there's money gone out of the bank account. So 6 grand went out of the bank account. Now the rent expense, and this is where we look at the dates. It was for 15 months up to the 31st of the 3rd. So that means 12 months was used up this year, and the remaining 3 months was for next year. So the rent expense is going to be the £6,000 that we paid multiplied by 12/15. So it's 15 months involved. 12 of those 15 months is an expense of this year. And the remaining is going to be a rent prepaid. Now, this rent prepaid, now if you think about it, what is it? Asset, liability, expense, or income. So this is an expense I've paid in advance for next year. So that means my landlord owes that money back to me. So it's actually an asset account. So I'm just going to put an A there just to remind me. So because it's an asset account, the debit side is the plus side. And the amount involved is going to be £6,000 times 3/15. So 3/15 is going to be prepaid. And those two add up to that. Now, that was never entered in the books, so therefore that's what will go straight into our general journal. So we're going to have credit bank £6,000. We're going to have a debit of 4/8 in the rent account, and we'll debit rent prepaid with 1,200. Okay, so that's the first two of them done. I'll then do another video for the next ones.